Matthew Macklin defeats Jose Yebes with an 8-round majority decision. It was a pretty laboured performance by Macklin, who has been lacking in ring activity over the past few years. He wasn't at his sharpest, he wasn't at his best. There was probably a lot of ring rust there. But to Yebes' credit, he was a very tough guy. There was never any point where Macklin actually managed to hurt Yebes, despite the fact that Macklin did land with solid shots. I thought maybe he slightly stunned him in one of the rounds, but only for a second or so, and then Yebes was back on him. Yebes was one of those guys who is very strong physically, but that strength doesn't translate to punching power. So he was able to more than hold his own up close in the clinches with Macklin and actually push Macklin back a lot during the fight. But the shots that he was landed on Macklin were annoying, pesky shots, but nothing that was troubling Macklin in the slightest. I think it was Yebes' work rate that gave Macklin problems, his physical strength and his toughness. Macklin was definitely the more classy fighter in there. He was pulling off nice moves and slipping and countering and all that. But I thought he lacked a bit of sharpness. And like I say, the opponent, Yebes, was very, very awkward, unconventional. And sometimes with those guys, it's difficult to read them. Sometimes you have to be in there with a more conventional fighter, and it's easier to read their moves and what they're going to do and be able to land cleaner on them. So it is what it is. He got 8 rounds under his belt, and he moves on to bigger and better things. He's fighting, I believe, for an eliminator, some type of eliminator later on this year. He should be. And hopefully after that, if he comes through that, he may be meeting Martin Murray in a final eliminator. That's at least the plan. So that should be good if he does get to fight Martin Murray. That's been a fight that's been talked about for a long time. But there's other domestic fights potentially there for Matthew Macklin. There's been the Andy Lee fight that's been talked about for a while, even though Andy Lee is down at junior middleweight now. I'm sure he'd move back up to middleweight for the right opportunity. And we all know that a Macklin fight would be big in Ireland. So that's still a possibility, hopefully. Other than that, you've also got Billy Joe Saunders, who's on the rise. And if Billy Joe Saunders doesn't fight Chris Eubank Jr., maybe could we see Billy Joe Saunders face off against Matthew Macklin? And other than that, there's also the vacant WBO title vacated by Peter Quillin. Although the commentators, when I watched the Macklin fight, were saying that there's a discrepancy between what the WBO is saying and what Peter Quillin's saying. The WBO is saying he hasn't vacated the belt, but Peter Quillin is saying he has. So I don't know. I don't really know what's going on there. But there's still opportunities there for Matthew Macklin if he can get himself back in a position. He could still maybe challenge for a world title again. We'll see what happens. Drop your comments below if you're a Macklin fan especially. Let me know what you felt about his performance. Who would you like to see him in the ring with next? I think definitely at this stage of Matthew Macklin's career, the big domestic fights make more sense than pretty much most of the world title fights in terms of finances, in terms of the money. He's going to make more money fighting a guy like Martin Murray or Andy Lee than he would make fighting most of the champions. So that's got to be the way that they're going to go, really. Although, then again, if he did manage to get a world title and then he defended it against one of the domestic fighters, that would be even bigger commercially. So, you know, that's definitely the route they're going to look to go down, either way. Yeah, so drop your comments below. Let me know how you feel about this performance by Macklin and where you see his career going forward. This is Hatman, I'm out.